Who doesn't love an overpowered MC surrounded by a gorgeous harem in another world? Today, we're counting down the top 10 Isekai harem anime with OPMCs. Let's jump right in. 10. In another world with my smartphone. In a thoughtless blunder, God accidentally strikes down Tuya Mochizuki with a stray bolt of lightning. As an apology, God offers him one wish and the chance to live again in a magical fantasy world. Tuya happily accepts the offer and, for his one wish, asks only to keep his smartphone with him as he begins his journey into this mysterious world. Starting over in this new world, Tuya finds it is filled with magic, which he has an affinity for, and cute girls vying for his attention. These girls, the twins Linza and El Siluesca, Yamina Ernia Belfast, Lean, and Ye Kokono, provide Tuya with no end of romantic frustrations, but also companionship as he discovers the secrets of this new world. 9. Arifureta from commonplace to world's strongest. The ordinary life of 17-year-old otaku Hajime Nagumo is disrupted when he and his classmates are summoned to a fantasy world and tasked with saving mankind. While his classmates are gifted with impressive abilities useful in combat, Hajime is belittled for only gaining an inferior transmutation skill that lacks any real offensive power. During an expedition in the Great Orcus Labyrinth, Hajime is betrayed by one of his classmates, plummeting him to the bottom of an abyss. Though he survives the fall, Hajime is faced with menacing monsters and misfortunes that send him spiraling into a grim nightmare. Desperate to live and return home one day, he resolves to fight for his survival, only to meet an imprisoned vampire he names Yu, who is also seeking to escape the labyrinth. Taking an interest in him, Yu and a few others along the way accompany Hajime on his journey to find a way back home, while steadily transforming from commonplace to the world's strongest. How not to summon a demon lord. When it comes to the fantasy MMORPG Cross Reverie, none can match the power of the Demon King Diablo. Possessing the game's rarest artifacts and an unrivaled player level, he overpowers all foolish enough to confront him. But despite his fearsome reputation, Diablo's true identity is Takuma Sakamoto, a shut-in gamer devoid of any social skills. Defeating hopeless challengers day by day, Takuma cares about nothing else but his virtual life. That is, until a summoning spell suddenly transports him to another world where he has Diablo's appearance. In this new world resembling his favorite game, Takuma is greeted by the two girls who summoned him, Rem Galeu, a petite Pantherian adventurer, and Shara L. Greenwood, a busty elf summoner. They perform an enslavement ritual in an attempt to subjugate him, but the spell backfires and causes them to become his slaves instead. With the situation now becoming more awkward than ever, Takuma decides to accompany the girls in finding a way to unbind their contract, while learning to adapt to his new existence as the menacing Demon King. 7. Farming life in another world. During the final years of his life, Hiraku Machio remained confined to a hospital bed with a terminal illness until he finally passed away. Taking pity on the unfair life he lived, a god decides to reincarnate Hiraku in another world where he can live as he pleases. Wanting to try farming in this new life, he is bestowed with an all-in-one almighty farming tool that can transform into any useful implement he wishes. Hiraku is then transported to a forest seemingly far from civilization. Here, he plans to build and farm everything from scratch, gradually developing the lifeless area into a thriving new society. 6. Eternity 7. One day, the bright red sun stopped shining, causing the breakdown phenomenon, the destruction of Arita Kasuga's town, and the disappearance of the people inhabiting it. All, however, is not yet lost. By utilizing the magical grimoire given to him by his childhood friend and cousin Hijiri Kasuga, Arata's world gets artificially reconstructed. In order to investigate the phenomenon, Lilith Asami appears before Arita, whose artificial world suddenly disintegrates. He is given two choices: hand over the book or die. However, Arita chooses the third option, enrolling in the top-secret magic school Royal Biblia Academy, where 6 other magical users await him. Together with Lilith, these 6 form the Trinity 7, the elite of the school who each bolster their own power and skill. With the ambition to save Hijiri and the help of his newfound friends, Arita stops at nothing to prevent the destruction of his beloved hometown and to bring his best friend back. 5. Undefeated Bahamut Chronicle. Lux, a former prince of an empire named Arcadia that was overthrown via a rebellion 5 years earlier, accidentally trespasses in a female dormitory's bathing area, sees the kingdom's new princess Lyshart naked, incurring her wrath. Lyshart then challenges Lux to a drag ride duel. Drag rides are ancient armored mechanical weapons that have been excavated from ruins all around the world. Lux used to be called the strongest drag knight, but now he's known as the undefeated weakest drag knight because he will absolutely not attack in battle. After his duel with Lyshart, Lux ends up attending the female-only academy that trains royals to be drag knights. Tsukimiki Moonlit Fantasy. As part of a mysterious contract agreed upon by a goddess and his parents years ago, Makoto Misumi finds himself sent to another world to meet the goddess and become the hero. However, the deity deems Makoto to be hideous, refusing to even lay eyes upon him and revokes his heroic title, disdainfully giving him the ability to understand all languages except the human language as compensation. The goddess drives Makoto off to the farthest edges of the wasteland, far from human civilization. Due to the disparity between Earth and this new world, Makoto's inherent physical and magical capabilities awaken, making him extremely powerful. He meets various demi-humans and mythical beings who all end up being captivated with his characteristics and join Makoto in building a new community where all of them can peacefully coexist. Nevertheless, despite this success, Makoto still yearns to meet fellow humans. In a world where the goddess herself has barred him from interacting with his kind, it is up to Makoto and his companions to fulfill his desire, and perhaps reform society along the way. 3. The Eminence in Shadow. For as long as he can remember, Minoru Kaginu has been fixated on becoming as strong as possible, which has led him to undertake all kinds of rigorous training. This wish, however, does not stem from a desire to be recognized by others. Rather, Minoru does everything he can to blend in with the crowd. So, while pretending to be a completely average student during the day, he arms himself with a crowbar and ruthlessly thrashes local biker gangs at night. Yet when Minoru finds himself in a truck accident, his ambitions seemingly come to a sudden end. In his final moments, he laments his powerlessness. No matter how much he trained, there was nothing he could do to overcome his human limitations. But instead of dying, Minoru reawakens as Sid, the second child of the noble Kaginu family, in another world, one where magic is commonplace. With the power he so desired finally within his grasp, he dons the moniker Shadow and establishes Shadow Garden, a group whose sole purpose is to combat the enigmatic cult of Diablos, an organization born from Sid's imagination. However, as Shadow Garden grows in both membership and influence, it becomes increasingly apparent that the cult of Diablos is not as fictional as Sid had intended. 2. The daily life of a middle-aged online shopper in another world. The story of a middle-aged man doing whatever he wants with the power of one-click online shopping. Kenichi, a single man in his 40s, is transported into another world for no apparent reason. As he tries to escape a dangerous forest teeming with monsters, he realizes he has the power to access to a huge online store. By using this power to exchange goods he found in this new world for cash, and then buying modern ones off the internet, he was able to quickly create a very popular business. However, his goal is to have a slow and leisurely life. Instead of growing his business even more, he decides to settle down and live off of the power of Jeff Bezos. The mail-order life of a middle-aged man in Otherworld begins now. 1. Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. Despite being bullied, scorned, and oppressed all of his life, a 34-year-old Shut-in still found the resolve to attempt something heroic, only for it to end in a tragic accident. But in a twist of fate, he awakens in another world as Rudius Greyrat, starting life again as a baby born to two loving parents. Preserving his memories and knowledge from his previous life, Rudius quickly adapts to his new environment. With the mind of a grown adult, he starts to display magical talent that exceeds all expectations, honing his skill with the help of a mage named Roxy Magurdia. Rudius learns swordplay from his father, Paul, and meets Sylphiette, a girl his age who quickly becomes his closest friend. As Rudius' second chance at life begins, he tries to make the most of his new opportunity while conquering his traumatic past. And perhaps one day he may find the one thing he could not find in his old world, love. And that's our list of the top 10 Isekai Harem anime with OPMCs. Did your favorite make the list? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more anime content. See you next time.